I'm Zach Steiner.
And I'm Aden Matthews.
Welcome back to another YouTube podcast, the one-stop shop for anything and everything related to pool, hot tub, and beaches streams.
Yo, let's go. The show where for only $10 you can donate to have me or Zach fart on recording. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind next time you're wondering of whether or not to financially support us.
Facts.
You know, that could be you. That could be you.
100%. And then there's no limit. So just keep the money coming in.
Keep the money coming. We'll do one per episode, right? You pay $10 for each episode. You get a random somewhere in the podcast. It might be an hour in, it might be 30 seconds in, but you'll have to listen to the whole thing to find out, of course. So
100%.
You know, we're thinking about it in a smart way, if you will, trying to raise some money and boost them numbers.
You know, part of our long-term goals. First, it's like farting on the podcast. Mm-hmm. Then we get into NFTs.
Right.
And then after that, pyramid scheme. But we don't have to talk about that yet. We'll get there.
Sure. But for now, our best option is our sponsor, Awesome Creator Academy, who will support us regardless of whether or not we put fart sounds in it. Our sponsor today is Awesome Creator Academy with the YouTube Starter Kit. If you're getting on YouTube and you have a little bit of money to throw around, why not check out the YouTube Starter Kit? For $99, you get over $1,500 of value and dozens of downloads from templates for advanced YouTube thumbnails, channel artwork, in cards, lower thirds, royalty-free background music, fonts, and more. Pay one price and have unlimited access to future downloads as they come out. Check out the link in the description or the show notes, and in doing so, you'll be supporting another YouTube podcast.
But of course, if you don't have $100, the $10 for the fart and sounds are still up there. But also, you can support us through Anchor. Anchor.fm/another-YouTube-podcast. You can support us financially at $1, $5, or $10 a month. We'll read your name on the podcast. And we plan to do this podcast for a really long time. The more financial support we have, the easier it will be for us to maintain a consistent schedule.
Don't you love to hear that? Consistency. That's what we're all about here on the podcast. Consistency. Every week, every new upload, right on time, as always. Thank you to the sponsor.
Always. Yeah, I did want to say before we talk about what we're doing today, it is funny that in our DM pinned messages, we have our sponsorship schedule, and then a couple of other things related to another YouTube podcast, and then right at the top, it's just our personal rankings of the Naruto arcs so far.
Yeah.
So that's pretty funny.
Up to date, too. Up to date.
Yeah.
Rankings of them. It has all three of the first arcs that we've watched so far. But that'll have to be a different podcast for a different day. What are we talking about today, Zach?
We're going to talk about where the hell we've been for the last 2 months. I feel like that's probably the first thing on people's minds. And then we're going to talk about the hotly anticipated our thoughts about the hot tub streams happening on Twitch.
I feel like the title of the episode should just steal from the Twitch blog.
Oh, 100%.
Just title it, Let's Talk About 100%. Hot Tub Streams. That way anybody who's subbed to another YouTube podcast is like, oh, they're finally going to do it. They're finally going to talk about
it's about time.
Hot tub streams. We just thought it'd be funny to mention it. We don't have a full episode planned on it or anything. But we're like, hey, we're doing your week on YouTube. It's been a while. Let's throw in like a little bit of Twitch news on something that is very fucking funny to talk about. But we will get to that later.
I quite think it's hilarious. I'm writing down right now. Let's talk about hot tub streams so I don't forget this. So that'll be pog. We got like actual news from Twitch about it, so it's like brand new shit. So what better way to come back on the podcast than to talk about this?
Yep, current news. That's how we do things around here. Although by the time you listen to it, it'll be like 2 or 3 weeks after the current news. But current enough. Current for our standards.
You know. It's fine. It's fine.
But Zach.
Yes.
How was
Go for it.
Your frickin' week on YouTube trademark?
So, as you may have noticed, our last episode is our last episode that Aiden and I recorded is going out on May 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
But the last episode that we have uploaded as of recording right now, because it's the 21st of May, went out in March 29th.
Yep.
So it was last Sunday of March. So we're like, last Monday of March, my bad. We're like 2 months from our last episode being uploaded.
Yeah.
And that was because I was like getting really busy with work stuff. I was like, yo, can we take a break? And you were like, yeah, that's cool. And so, like, I took a break. I was getting really mad at myself because I hadn't put on a main video this year. I was starting to do some streaming again. That was going pretty well, and then it went off the rails. And then I think it was actually like 2 weeks after not putting out another YouTube podcast was when I hit you up about that. But I was just told you and Jay and just like everybody I was involved with creatively that I'm gonna take a deliberate break from my creative projects because I haven't been deliberate about it in a long time. Usually it's just, oh, I ain't getting nothing done for like 2 months. Oops. But this time I was like, instead of trying to feel guilty about anything, I'm just gonna make it an actual break.
Be upfront. Not doing shit.
Yeah. Exactly. So I mean, I haven't really done anything related to YouTube since March. I know that, like I said, I was doing some streaming and that was going pretty well, and I was putting stuff up on the Zach Snyder Plays channel, which was pretty cool. And then I think like after a few weeks of that going fairly well, like I had just gotten really busy with my work stuff. So that's really been the main thing, is just keeping up with my work. I started working with another client and then stopped working with that particular client over the past couple months. That was interesting. But like I'm getting to the point now where I'm like I'm actually financially able to not bring on more clients, which is really cool.
That's dope.
It's really dope. I've got like kind of a main three right now that are kind of keeping me afloat. And like I've mentioned working with Pat Flynn before, and that takes a lot of work to make those videos happen. And then I work with this channel that does Etsy content, and that takes a little bit of work, but not as much work. And then I work with this dude on LinkedIn who's switching over to YouTube stuff soon, so that'll change within the next month as to kind of what I'm doing for him in terms of work. But it's enough to where I don't have to like struggle. It's not like amazing or anything, but it's enough, and I'm cool with that. And I got other stuff that I want to do creatively, and so I've just like turned down potential clients recently, and I'm sure you'll talk about it. I sent one over to you as well recently, which is cool. And so if anybody hits me up wanting me to do their work, like I'm probably going to be sending them over to the homies, because I know that I've talked to you, Jay, and Parker, and all three of you seem to be like kind of wanting to do a little bit more of this kind of side of the content creation thing, make a little extra money. So that's the plan.
I will say, it was very funny because I finally caught up on come up episodes because I was behind for like a solid
Yeah.
while. And you put out like 3 episodes talking about what's going on, talking about movies, all this sort of shit. And at a certain point, in classic come up fashion, you make a statement like, you know what? I've gotten a lot of shit done in 2021. I've gotten shit off on track. Another YouTube podcast. Get this. At the time of recording this come up episode, we've had an upload every week for the first 3 months. And I'm like, when was this recorded? And it's like posted like literally at the end of March. So like right before we just didn't upload anything. Yeah. And I'm like, this is epic. This is classic Zach.
Yeah, it's it is very classic come up fashion. I remember my favorite moment of the come up is when I'm talking about like being depressed for a while. I'm talking about like trying to work on it, trying to figure out ways to like not be depressed, and then one episode I'm like, yo guys, like I'm happy, I'm good, everything's doing epic. And then I don't upload again for like 2 months, and then I didn't upload again for 6 months. So
That's just how it
on
goes.
that podcast, so it's just funny.
Just how it goes. Our mood fluctuates so often that we can
Yeah,
work on a video or work on a project and have a particular vibe about it. But by the time that project is done and uploaded, it might be the complete opposite feeling. Like, oh, I look happy in the video, or I'm depressed, or I'm depressed in the video and I feel good
Yeah.
now, vice versa. Like, I'm never that consistent in my mood or emotions day to day.
I know. We're probably gonna talk about it more in the next episode because we got a little topic planned.
We do. A very interesting one.
But I think so.
The psychology
It
behind
just,
hot tub streamers.
Oh yeah. That's gonna be the next 5 weeks. So strap in, get ready. It's a segmented part of the podcast. But no, I don't really have anything else. Like that was mainly it. I've just been in my time like watching Northernlion on Twitch and playing The Binding of Isaac and then working.
The Holy Trinity.
Yeah, I've been reading some. That's been cool. I've been reading this book called The History of the Ancient World. Learning about ancient Sumerians, the Egyptians, and like all that shit. About to get into the beginning of the Greeks.
Okay.
So that's kind of pog, you know.
Did you find out at what point the upload schedule was invented? Because I figured the Sumerians probably didn't have that shit on lock, which is why they kind of faded away for sure.
Nah, one would argue that is still in our personal future. It's not. It's more of a construct than an actual set in stone idea right now. So hopefully we'll get to see that in our lifetime.
By the time I'm like 140, like we finally have invented the consistent upload schedule.
Yeah.
Like wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I thought internet.
We'll live to be 140, and that's the thing we're excited about.
Yeah, like AI, robots, whatever. Fucking, did we finally figure out how to upload every week? That'd be the secret sauce, if you will. Well, that was epic. Thank you for telling us about your week. Always interesting to hear. Mine is substantially longer, unfortunately. But that's just
That's dope. You've been doing shit.
A lot of shit happened. From the top, I'd say probably the most substantial thing was the rebrand. Rebranded myself.
That's right.
When we last talked. I'm still Blue Couch Productions, so it's not like I went from blue to yellow or something like that. But I did drastically change up the look and the styling, keeping the ocean theme, but messing around with the text. Kind of a bit of a taller font, bit of a skinnier font. It's white, got a little bit of some waviness going on. It's hard to explain without looking at it, but I've wanted a white and blue look for a while now. And the old one that I had was just kind of like blue on dark blue, which is fine, just not as interesting. I've had my old logo since 2018, so it would have been going on 3 years with that same look, which I got my use out of. I mean, I paid $30 for it to have it be done, and it was great at the time. I probably talked about it on YouTube podcast at the time.
You did. You did. It's funny. We've been doing it that long.
We have. But then it was like, yo, let me see if I can do something. So I ended up making it all myself, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I've still given it like the same vibe of Blue Couch Productions, but a little bit more minimal, a little bit more clean looking. I'm not using like a big bold font or like a couch or anything. It's just the word blue on an ocean background. It looks nice, kind of nostalgic, kind of old looking. I fuck with it a lot, and so I've changed over.
I like it.
Pretty much every social media at this point to reflect the new branding.
Hell yeah, everything like
pretty much,
and even like HBO Max. Like, it's all good.
Even the HBO Max. Sure, whatever you want to believe. It was wild because when I had made it and I showed it to you and you're like, oh, this is cool, whatever. And we tried to work on like fitting the couch in there and it didn't pan out. I'm like, I'm just gonna go with this for now. I'm gonna put it in the Discord and see if people fuck with it. And within putting it in the Discord, like 30 minutes later, I'm like, cool, I'll just change it now. Like I didn't even wait.
Yeah.
I didn't announce it in a video. I didn't, ask on Twitter, hey, you people fuck. Like, I made it. I was happy with it. I showed it on Discord for maybe like 30 minutes and then uploaded it everywhere. It was quick.
It was good, yeah. I feel like, there's something to say about update videos and shit. And like, I know me and you watch a lot of update videos, even if we don't watch the main content of a channel. But it's nice to just like do something and be like, yo, I'm just gonna do it. Fuck it. I don't care.
I don't care, man. Whatever. Especially because it was so similar to the last one. It's like, I don't really need a whole big shabam about it.
Yeah.
And so I did that. Probably the second biggest thing that happened was Twitch. I added a bunch of different unique things to the stream, including some new alerts, a kind of water wave stinger transition. Like before, it was just kind of like this black with blue lines, and it didn't really match the aesthetic, but now it's just like a little water animation that comes over it that I think fits better. And most importantly, I finally got the DSLR set up with the stream.
Yeah.
It ended up being about $200 for the desk mount, the capture card, the cable, and the dummy battery so that the camera could stay on for a long period of time. But I was saving that money for a fucking graphics card that never came. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to go ahead and get this DSLR streaming set up, see if it works, see if I'm happy with it. And I streamed for 7 hours that day, playing Minecraft and beating Minecraft, and I really liked how it looked.
It looks really good. I'm really, really excited for your stream layout now. Shit looks clean. The DSLR is really dope. I'm looking forward to seeing more of it.
I'm hoping, too, I can use it a bit more in video stuff, because the issue would always be, like, if I wanted to record videos, I had to get the camera set up and get all the lights and everything, and it would take a really long time. Whereas early Blue Couch Productions is like, webcam on the desk, got the mic, start recording, go. It was a lot quicker, but I wasn't, like, confident in how the webcam looked, because it's not great.
Quality looks bad.
On video.
Especially in current year.
Yeah. So I'm like, ugh, I'd really want to use my camera, and so that's the second intended benefit is if I just want to start filming videos at my desk, I can do that. The only thing that like isn't great about it is I can't use the autofocus on my camera when it's hooked up that way, because all the menus will start to show up. So it has to be manual focus every time, which is fine, but it means every time I turn it on, I have to manually set up that focus. And if I move too much, like too far back or too far forward, there's a very real chance that I could just be out of focus entirely. That used to happen a lot on back to the video games before I was able to hook it up to the monitor. At least here, though, on the desk setup, I'll have OBS to preview, and I can see it a little bit better. But it kind of sucks that I can't use the autofocus for that, because that would be really helpful in those situations.
It's the more advanced we make our videos, the more complicated it always gets.
It's another step.
Even finding like a fix, it's like there's still like 2 more steps associated with it.
So you get it all figured out, and even though I got one piece, there's still like another piece that I want to improve on and shit like that. I still need a graphics card for my computer that isn't old as fuck. And the big thing I'm noticing now is when I'm recording videos with the DSLR, it's good, but the audio isn't as good as the voiceover mic. And it's like, you know what, that's fair. Like the DSLR mic was $50. But it's an issue of range. So because I'm a couple of feet away from the camera, that $50 mic has a harder time picking things up. And so there's like a discrepancy in the audio quality between when I'm on voiceover, which is basically this setup right here. I'm up close to the mic, and when I'm on camera. And so now I'm looking at things like, can I get like a stand for this mic that I could bring with me on videos? Or maybe I need one of those Zoom portable recorders so I can hook up a mic to that and have it right on me when I'm recording, and looking into all sorts of weird-ass audio setups. So you think I would be done and satisfied with what gear I have and feel like it. But when I solve one problem, I always seem to discover another one of things that could either be better, in this case be better, or in a lot of cases just make things easier. That's the other big one, just convenience.
I think the mic stand is the way to go if you got room for it, because I have one and it's very helpful. I always have it pretty close to me outside of the frame for Yed, and That way, if I was going to do any kind of voice recording, it's relatively the same quality.
Because it's the same mic.
Which is helpful. Exactly.
Not having to use two separate things, which granted are both done by Rode, but they're two separate processes.
They're still different mics, yeah.
Outside of those two things, though, I guess the last and sort of slight other thing is Aden on Acre. Still doing Aden on Acre, having a good bit of time.
Yeah.
Episode 80 came out recently. Changed out the starting music. Was doing a Q&A episode. But part of the reason I bring it up has nothing to do with that, and more just to do with the fact that I'm really excited that episode 100 is like within reach at this point. It's like
it's crazy, but
there's a real possibility that by the time this year is over, I will have hit episode 100 or really close to it.
It's dope. I don't want to promise things, but it's like it's pretty close for this podcast too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. By the time
they both reasonably could reach 100.
By the time these two episodes are recorded, we'll only be like 4 behind or something for me.
Yeah, something like that.
Barely at all.
Which is dope.
So it could be like I could hit one week, and then the next week YouTube podcast could hit it. Who knows? But it would be really cool considering like they both started at around the same point. They're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's wacky.
Very. But yeah, that's pretty much it. LHG's been really slow. I've been meaning to record more Celeste stuff, but I just haven't done it. Blue Couch Productions, outside of the rebrand, is also kind of slow because I am working on a Zelda video. But it's gotten bigger as time has gone on. And because of the rebrand, I'm like, I'm going to introduce some new changes. There's a new intro. There's going to be a new outro. A different way of presenting gameplay footage rather than it just being full screen. Like really utilizing DaVinci Resolve as well, because I've had a blast learning that, and I'm like 90% of the way there at this point.
Hell yeah.
And all that sort of shit. And it's like, yeah, it's been really fun to work on, but it's like, oh, my last video came out in March, I think. So been about a 2-month break from Blue Couch production shit as well. And
I get it.
Yeah. Oh shit, I almost forgot. Since you had set me up for it earlier, and then I completely forgot. I'm working on client shit now too. As the other thing. I almost let it slip by and fucking forgot about it. So Zach just hits me up. He's like, "Yo, I got this tech channel I used to edit for, and he was looking to get me back on, but I don't have time. Would you be interested in doing it?" I'm like, sure. I mean, I could ask, right? So we, start talking in their Twitter DM, and I'm on the fly having to figure things out, like how much should I charge? What do you want me to do? How often do you want to upload? Like details like that. And he's like, okay, sure. We'll go ahead and get something going. I'm like, oh shit. So basically what I'm doing now is I'm doing rough edits for this Painfully Honest Tech channel. And I've done about 4 videos total. 3 of them have gone public. The 4th one has yet to. At the time of recording this, it hasn't. But by the time you're listening, I'll probably have done it and have a couple more up there. But it's been a really fun experience. The first video did not go terribly well because I didn't realize that having the wrong codec of video would make the whole timeline slow down to a crawl. But of course, Aden being Aden, persistent as ever, just decided to edit the whole video just off audio waveforms in the audio editor instead. So I just couldn't see what the fuck I was doing until the very end. And I'm like, oh, that's why it's running slow. And so I convert it to MP4 in like 2 minutes, and then I'm able to run DaVinci Resolve back at full speed again. I'm like, oh, that would have saved a lot of time. Thankfully, every video since then has gone a lot faster.
I'm glad to hear, because you told me how long it took you for that first one. I was like, oh, that's unfortunate.
You don't know these things until you do them, you know?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I've had similar issues. I've I started working with proxies about a year ago because I get a lot of 4K footage, and a lot of that shit will slow, like you said, slow your program down to a crawl, and you cannot edit it. So I had to figure out a way to get quicker footage in there, and there's ways to do it, but not until you know that you need to solve an issue.
Right. Because I only know my process.
Issue.
I know my process,
Exactly.
and I know how it works, but the second you start to introduce somebody else's, in this case, primary Apple user with like Apple formats and stuff. I have
Yeah.
to readjust the workflow and do it all over and figure it out, learn new things along the way. And it's been really fun. It's been really fun. He had sent me 3 videos, and I'm like, I'm just going to do them all in one day. But then I got the COVID vaccine, had a fever. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do them today. So I had to take a break for it for 2 days, and then got back and then worked on them a little bit more. And yeah, did all 3 pretty much in a relatively quick amount of time. But
That's awesome.
it's definitely new. It's exciting. It's fun. It's interesting. I'm at least comfortable with doing rough edit stuff right now. We'll see how I feel after doing that for a while. If I want to, try a little something more complicated, maybe try adding some shit here and there visually.
Yeah.
But hey, paid to do rough edits, I'll do rough edits, my guy. Whatever the fuck you need me to do. Whatever you need me to do. I want to be helpful.
That's the positive angle of it, is that like you're starting to get a little bit of money coming in, and then you can use that in whatever way you need to, which will be dope.
I mentioned it on stream, and I'll mention it here just because I think it is helpful. For a long time, I thought that my skills were not up to the point to where I could do something like this. And that comes down to like a lack of self-confidence and not knowing every specific tool or program that the industry uses at large, and feeling like I was inadequate to do stuff like this. And it wasn't until actually doing it and finishing those first couple of videos that I'm like, oh, not only can I do this, I could have done this years ago,
Oh, absolutely.
Now, granted, like, I'm better at it now than I would have been 2 years ago.
Of course.
Obviously. But I had like kind of counted myself out of even being able to do those opportunities, partially due to me not feeling confident in thinking that I could do it. And that's the thing I would say is, like, obviously learn new skills, get better at your craft to provide as much value as you can, but also like be confident in yourself, man. You probably can do
100%.
shit like this. It's not taxing, especially if you've done it for yourself for a considerable amount of time, like me and Zach have. It's really easy to get into and start working for anybody.
I think it's in current year, there's a lot of people that are doing content now, whether it's on YouTube or streaming or TikTok or Twitter. Like, content is just kind of like almost everybody's doing it. And I've had people from my college like hit me up and say, hey, can you help me with this thing? And like I was working with somebody that I went to college with a few months ago for about a month or two on some stuff. And it's like so many people are doing it now that if you know literally anything about it, you could probably get paid doing it.
Yep.
Like, just is how it is, especially if you've been doing it as long as we have. And then on the flip side of that, it wasn't until I was doing editing for other people that I started to get better with my stuff too. So it's because you're forced to spend more time doing the editing than you may have already done beforehand. Because I do more editing for other people than I do myself right now, which is a little disappointing. But it's also like, through that, once I get back to my stuff, I'm like, oh, bro, this is so easy. Like, I have very little problems, because like that's my job, and so I feel a lot more confident with those skills than
100%. I also think too, like, when you're editing your own projects, we have the tendency to kind of just like do the bare minimum to finish it and get it out, like whenever you can. A lot of the times I've been creatively challenged or progress in a new skill is when I'm given the opportunity to experiment on something other than my own. And I knew that before I even started doing client shit, because some of the most fun I had was doing like editing for Worldwide Meme, doing editing for LHG, doing editing for Zach Snyder Plays. Like, it's Let's Play stuff, and it doesn't require a whole lot, but when the pressure is that low, and when it's not necessarily related to your own stuff, you feel a bit more of an obligation to put in more work because it's not you, it's someone else. People that want to help others typically have a little bit more of that drive to go above and beyond, not necessarily on your own stuff, but other people's stuff. And so, like, for me, doing client things like that, of being like, oh, you know what? I have an opportunity to try J&L cuts and see how that works out. And not all of them are good. I was bad at a lot of them. But I got 2 or 3 that like had really nice transitions and nice flows into each other. I'm like, oh shit. And now I can do that on my own stuff, and make it more comfortable and more helpful to me, because I had that opportunity to experiment outside my own outlet and do something for other people.
Definitely. Disappointing yourself, you're like, oh, you know, I'm
Whatever.
disappointed in myself. Who cares? But like disappointing somebody else, you're like, you don't want to do that. So you put a little bit more effort in typically. But I mean, you're 100% right. There's so many things I've like brought into my own content just because I had to do it for somebody else, and vice versa. So it all kind of goes hand in hand, and I feel like I've gotten better on both things over time, which is cool.
Heck yeah. That's it. Pretty much it for my week on YouTube. Had a lot of stuff going down. Unfortunately, no actual videos or anything came from it, but hey, at least in the process one, at least working on one. And it'll come out when it comes out.
It's all a process.
Yeah.
It's all a process, and it's like output doesn't necessarily mean that you got something accomplished, and not putting something out doesn't mean you didn't get anything accomplished. That's what I'm kind of been learning over the last year or so.
Unless, of course, you're a hot tub streamer, in which case,
hell yeah,
output is the only thing that matters, if you know what I'm saying. Like,
hell yeah,
they
get
output
that shit out.
And they output strong. So,
oh yeah,
that's a nice segue, I think, into our kind of bonus topic, our Twitch news. A little blog post by good old Twitch on the holy day of May 21st, 2021. That's simply titled, "Let's Talk About Hot Tub Streams." So, before we even get into the article, I think it's important to know that me and Zach have talked about this topic, like, off
this is true.
Before. At first, it was just kind of that's weird. There's a girl in a scantily clad bikini on my Twitch homepage. And Zach's like, really? I'm like, yeah, go check. He's like, oh shit, there is for me too. And then it became, so Twitch is seeing this and promoting this. Doesn't this kind of like break some terms of service rules? Doesn't this kind of like, I don't know, kind of focus more on a sexual aspect, even though this is a game streaming platform? And from there, we had more nuanced discussions and, you know, kind of presented ideas about how we thought Twitch would handle it. We both kind of had 2 separate theories. And so it wasn't until today, as of recording this, that Twitch finally gave us an answer as to what they were doing.
They did.
So I'm going to let Zach kind of give an overview, a little bit of the article here, and all the excellent quotes Twitch leaves us with in this article.
I do want to give a quick disclaimer that I'm pretty sure both of us don't actually care about these people doing hot tub streams. Like, it doesn't affect us one way or another.
Oh, no.
And I think there's a lot of people that are like really mad that these people are getting promoted and that they're doing these streams. And I'm like, just get over it. Just ignore it. It doesn't affect you at all. Mm-hmm. But I do find it to be funny. I think it's very humorous that when I went to Twitch, there would just be boobies on the front page. I thought that was kind of cool and hilarious. So one of my theories was, or both of our theories were kind of like, either Twitch is going to find some way to get it off of their platform entirely, and they're going to double down on their kind of policies in terms of sexually suggestive content and attire, or they're just going to be like, fuck it, let's just have a whole category for it. And so Twitch said that we're gonna do that second one. We're just gonna create a category that I believe is called pools, hot tubs, and beach. And beaches, yeah. So that's the new category. So now if you have chosen some kind of swimwear and you are streaming inside of a hot tub inside your house, or at the beach, or you're in a pool. Some people even in their bathtub. You can, in fact, continue streaming. You just have to make sure that it is underneath that category, or it will get removed. Because one of the big issues was if you go to the just chatting category on Twitch, it was being like the top streamers were these hot tub streamers every single time.
Yep.
Which, like, on one hand, I'm like, I get it. Like, I get why these people are doing it. Because they're making money through it. I don't personally understand why people are watching it. I feel like there's other places on the internet to go if you're in the mood for that kind of content. But, whatever. Whatever, bro. Do you, I guess.
Damn. My favorite quote in the entire article is...
Oh, yeah. I'm hyped for this.
Very early on into the article, they go, while we have guidelines about sexually suggestive content, being found to be sexy by others is not against our rules, and Twitch will not take enforcement action against women or anyone on our service for their perceived attractiveness. So, a multi-million-dollar company that's owned by Amazon that has a live streaming platform primarily targeted toward gamers, neckbeards, very conventionally unattractive people, had to make a statement in current year that basically said, hey, you know what? Just because you're sexy doesn't mean you can't stream on twitch.tv. This is an open community for anyone, regardless of their attractiveness. We're an open place, whether you want to be in a hot tub or if you're gaming, bro. It don't matter how hot you are. Twitch is for everybody, and I find that extremely hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. And just so people know, like, Twitch has had kind of their sexually suggestive content policies in the past. They're not going to allow pornography. Like, that is still very much a no on there. And any kind of sexually, like, suggestive acts are not allowed. Even things like pole dancing and that kind of stuff, where, like, people are focusing on certain parts of the body, like, they're not allowing that. But one of the kind of things that people were getting around was under their nudity and attire section, you could in fact be wearing swimwear or have some kind of body art, like right on your body or whatever, as long as it was in the right context. So if you're at a beach and there are people around you in swimwear, like, they're cool with that. Obviously, once these hot tub streamers started coming into play, it's like, oh, well, they're technically in a place in which, this kind of swimwear is allowed. So it can't technically be against Twitch's guidelines.
It feels like a loophole,
It is a loophole. It's 100% a loophole.
A very explicit loophole that Twitch was not expecting people to take advantage of, and then they do, and then to be like, oh yeah, well, it's a real thing now. Here we go. Here's your category. Let's make a category for it.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. It's bizarre to me.
It's funny. It's really weird. It's really strange. I don't know, like, what this means entirely for the rest of the platform. I don't think it's gonna mean much, because like they mentioned in this article again, like, if you are doing anything that's in this context, you have to be in that category. And so if you are found outside of a category, your stream can be removed.
Right.
And again, they're not going to allow porn on the website. Some people thought they might just go full NSFW on the website. I thought maybe it was a possibility. Maybe they'll just add an NSFW category, like, fuck it, at that point. But, like, they're not going to do that as of now, which is good. I think there's a lot of... I think a lot of Twitch has been getting more popular over the past few years, so it would kind of bring the website down in terms of popularity if there was a decent amount of not safe for work content. But it is funny. I do find it quite hilarious that this is a thing.
I got a question for you. And it may not be the
Go for
question
it.
you expected to answer today, but
Oh
being
no.
that we're another YouTube podcast and we like to offer advice to creators about the sustainability of some platforms. Let's say hypothetically, Zach, that one of
Yeah.
these up and coming hot tub streamers, listens to it and wants to know, like, will this category be viable long term? Can they and should they make a name for themselves on Twitch in the hot tub category? And will that last? Will that be able to be a thing, a career path, if you will? Is this a new option, a new avenue?
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you're an attractive female, you could probably make a lot of money doing this. You know? Not only can you get the perverts on Twitch to give you money through there, but you can promote your OnlyFans and get money through that. So yeah, I mean there's some dudes doing it too. Obviously trying to be more comedic with it. I don't know how viable it is for them in the long run.
Right.
But I mean, if I was a 25-year-old female and was hot, like, I would 100% do this. There's no doubt in my mind.
This should be your path, your content.
This is the path right here. Yeah.
Nice.
100%.
I'm not entirely sure that once the memes and the discourse and all the heat from this dies down, if in like 5 years or so, this is even still like a relevant category. Because I feel like part of what
that's fair
Twitch is doing here is they're like, okay, we're seeing that this is a thing. We're seeing that they're using just chatting, a category that is insanely popular and more likely to reach the homepage, is being used as sort of a loophole. So we're going to make this pools and hot tub and beaches category for the people that want it. But we're not going to put a spotlight on it. They even mentioned that advertisers don't have to advertise on it.
That makes sense.
And by keeping it in its own category, they will know straight up, like, this is what's going to be there. So I have to wonder if by Twitch kind of breaking this section off and putting it into its own little space, one that they don't necessarily have to promote, one that they don't necessarily have to keep their eye on, if this isn't Twitch, maybe in a subtle way and in a very bizarre angle, I'm not sure, is trying to, like, de-emphasize it a little bit, and that in 5 years or so people just won't care and they can be like, oh cool, and get rid of it now, no one cares anymore.
It's possible. I mean, if you look at YouTube, there's a decent amount of content similar to that on that website. I mean, if you're 14 and you're looking for shit to jack off to, then on the main porn websites, like, you can find people trying on bathing suits and doing other kind of stuff like that on YouTube. So, but like, obviously you don't find it on trending. You don't find it on your homepage. It's not usually recommended to you. So I think it's probably very similar with Twitch. I can't see it being a thing where, like, in 5 years it's still number 12 on the, like, top streaming categories or top watch categories when you go to Twitch. But, like, again, if you're kind of into making that content to make some extra money right now, I don't see the reason why not to do it.
I think right now, if you have the opportunity, strike the iron while it's hot and go for it,
Oh yeah, get your bag, queen.
I just have to wonder from a long-term perspective if this is like a new thing that's going to be around, or is this just going to be like remember back in 2021 when Twitch made a hot tub category? Because I could see it going both ways.
Yeah.
But as long as there's horny dudes out there, I guess there will always be a market for this somewhere,
This is true. I think it's also good to say that, like, if you are intending on doing any kind of, like, what would be considered sex work or close to it, usually there is a timeline in which you're like physically viable for it. A lot of people, as they get older, people might not think you're as hot, and so you stop making as much money. So if you plan on doing it, like, have a long-term plan, maybe do stuff outside of it, obviously. Mm-hmm. Try to be funny, try to be entertaining in the process. That'll probably get you a longer way. But you know, I don't know, man.
It's very interesting.
Didn't think we'd, didn't think we'd get into the machinations of that today, but it is pretty funny.
Clearly a field that me and you aren't exactly well versed or well experienced in.
Yeah.
But definitely a part of online content creation we were eventually going to have to touch on in some form. So at the very least, Twitch at least gave us the opportunity. And again, want to clarify, like Zach said in the disclaimer, Aden Matthews and Zach Snyder do not give a fuck what you do with your body and whether or not you choose to stream it, whether you're wearing swimwear in a beach or a hot tub. You do you. Totally cool with it.
Facts.
To quote Jay-Z, what you eat don't make me shit. So I feel like that's all advice we can
That's a good line. That's a good bar.
It is. It's a really good bar. And it just simply means that just because other people are succeeding and using advantages that they were born with or not born with, doesn't mean that you, the person listening to this, are any more screwed. Like, you have your own advantages and you have your own benefits.
Yeah.
You can succeed along with everybody. There's room for everybody. We've stressed that 1,000 times. YouTube, Twitch, wherever. There's room for everybody to succeed at content creation, whether you're in front of the camera or behind it. Doesn't matter.
There's a lot of talks surrounding like some of the entrepreneurs I've watched in the past, or big YouTube creators or whatever. A common phrase that I hear a lot is "find your superpower." It's just kind of like that thing that you can really utilize to excel you. For some people, that's being really funny. For some people, that's their editing skills. Some, it's their writing. Some, it's they got a nice ass. So you just got to figure out like what's good for you, and then utilize it. And I like to have a couple of those things so that if one of them fails, then I can fall back on the other.
Right, and pivot if need be.
Yeah. Right. My nice ass is only going to carry me so far.
Right.
So I got to work harder on my editing,
Because people aren't going to be clicking on your everyday nerd to get the ass shot when Zach bends over to pick up a DVD. Just not the intended demographic yet.
Yeah, exactly.
There's always an opportunity for the future. But that's all I have to say about this epic topic. Let us know what you thought about it down in the comments below. I'm sure there will be plenty of people who have very heated opinions about this, and make it a personality trait of theirs to stand on one side and talk about how gamer girls ruin Twitch or some shit. I don't fucking know. You do you. You can also email us at anotherytpodcast@gmail.com and recommend us your favorite hot tub streamers. Can't say we'll go watch them, but
looking for new ones,
I like to stay involved in the space, I like to be very well versed in all sides of content.
Yeah, that's it for the episode. I've been Zach.
And I've been Aden.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Another YouTube Podcast.
Bye-bye.
Alright, so this Indie Fox chick, bro. I'm about to watch her. Hold on.
Oh, shit.
Looking epic. Oh, no, I'm still recording.